So if you're working on Spring Boot and you are using JSON as a library to just serialize or deserialize the data, in that case, there could be a use case where you actually want data to be something like, say, wrapped inside a key, and here goes your object. So usually by default the Jackson won't support it, so you have to enable that feature. So let's see a demonstration of how we could do that. So for that, let's just create a simple Spring Boot application. So I have already created one, so you could create this simple Spring Boot application. It's just app class, and here we have a public static void main method, and it simply runs on port 80. Application.properties is empty, so it's just a plain Spring Boot application. Let's just run it quickly to test if our application is up and running. All right, so it's up and running. So in our pom.xml, we have used these dependencies. So you're familiar with this Spring Boot dependency. If you assume that and this dependency is for web application via Spring Boot. So this is a starter pom, and this is for test, so you could ignore this as of now. We are using a dependency for project Lombok. So basically, Lombok is used for avoiding the boilerplate code. E.g., for example, you create setters, scatters, or constructors, or if you have to like create a builder pattern based POJO. So in that case, Lombok could be very handy. It allows you to just use annotations and just create that boilerplate code while you compile the code. So we will use this. So let's go ahead and create our first controller just to ensure that we are able to like access the code, the JSON. I'm sorry, a JSON on the browser, or simply our controller is running and we are able to access a URL. Okay, let's create a package first. So let's say this controller, and here if I say okay, let's say user controller. All right, so you could remove the non-required commands. So to create a REST controller, let's use the simple REST controller annotation, and let's create a simple method. Say public string user, and here we just return a string hello from user. So we are using this method just to test that our controller is up and running and we are able to hit our endpoint. Okay, so let's give a request mapping. Says, let's give it the root. Okay, now let's run our application, and let's check it. Localhost /8080. Okay, it works. Hello from user. Now let's create a POJO. Let's call it a DTO. Okay, so let's say we have DTO's package, and in DTO's package we create a simple POJO user, and here we just declare two properties, private string name and private, say, integer age. Okay, now let's use Lombok data annotation. It will just create the getter setters on the go and build a pattern. We use @builder annotation for build a pattern. Now let's go to the controller, and from here let us return user.builder.build, and let's build a pattern. Let's use build a pattern to build our object and change the return type to, let's say, it's user. And now let's put name as, say, Jack, and say the age is, say, 27. Okay, now let's stop and rerun our application just to validate whether we are able to access the URL and we are able to access it as JSON. So let's refresh. Okay, still running. So let's do it now. Okay, so we are able to see our returned object as simple JSON. Okay, so good so far. Now let's come to the original point that we started with. So far we have been setting up the stage to understand how you could enable wrapping in JSON while serializing or deserializing. So we will cover the serializing in this video. So let's go to user. Here we have a property JSON root name. Sorry, my bad. It's not property, it's an annotation. So we have annotation from Jackson, that is JSON root name. So basically this annotation is for specifying what value, or say what name or what string you want to put as a key while wrapping up the objects. So let me put it by example. So if suppose we have this, then what I mean to say is that JSON root, any string that you provide inside JSON root name is going to be here as a key, and rest of the object is going to be here as a value, right? So suppose if I write here user, then the output JSON should be like this. Okay, so I will just remove this and let's see if it works. We have restarted the application. Okay, it seems up and running. So let's refresh. Okay, now, oh, it's not wrapping. Well, I did it intentionally. So actually we haven't enabled the wrapping while serializing. So for that, Jackson provides a feature, or well, you could say Spring Boot provides a feature that you could specify a property inside application.properties and enable the wrapping while serializing or deserializing. Nevertheless, you could do same via creating a configuration file, Spring Boot configuration file too. But as part of this video, we will just cover application.properties, and we'll share the way of enabling wrapping or unwrapping using a configuration file in another video. So let's do that. So the property is spring.jackson dot. Oh well, I'm using IntelliJ IDEA, so it suggests a lot of things. So I'm going to use this suggestion as serialization dot wrap root value true. So let's understand this. So till here is spring.json is going to be same for serialization or deserialization. Then after dot we specify whether we want to serialize or deserialize. Then we say okay, we want to wrap the root value, and we say okay, yeah, we want to. So let's put a true. So let's save it, and I will rerun the app. So this time we are gonna hold back for a while, because every time we think application has started and it takes a while. So let's wait until the logs finish. Okay, now, yay, hooray, cheers. So you see, it works. So the point is, you need to specifically enable the wrapping. By default, Jackson won't do that for you. Now, a bonus thing. So you see, it's like it's ugly. It's not readable. So let's make it a bit readable. So I will just duplicate this line, and we'll change this part only. So we'll use indent output, and let's restart the application, and let's see. Let the logs finish. Here we go. Let's refresh it. Yeah, it's formatted now. So you see, it's that easy.